guys, it's Gretchen and welcome back to my channel. So recently I've been toying with the idea of getting another piercing. I've been considering my rook. I've really been considering my Medusa, philtrum, whatever you want to call it. I know some people get really weirded out if you call it a Medusa. That's just the original way that I heard it called, but I know it's the philtrum. And so while I was thinking about getting a new piercing, I've been thinking about healing piercings and how certain piercings take longer, and I thought I'd do a video on one piercing that has caused me a great deal of just been a big issue since I had it done. The piercing itself was not painful, but the healing process was a bitch. And that would be my Daith piercing, or Daith, however you want to say it. I think the proper pronunciation is Daith. Not spelled that way, so I feel you if you've been saying Daith. My Daith piercing has been one hell of a ride since I've had it. And I haven't even had it a year, so it's understandable, because it is a cartilage piercing, so those tend to take longer than other piercings to heal or whatever. But I thought I would talk about how I healed my Daith piercing when it had, I want to say it got infected. You know, you sometimes experience the piercing, the dreaded piercing bump. This was more than a bump. This was like full on, we got an issue, that type of thing. Also, sorry if I sound a little weird. My nose is completely stopped up today, so yay, sickness. Great, isn't it? So yes, my Daith piercing got infected severely to the point where I considered taking it out, which you don't want to do. If you have an infected piercing, you don't want to take it out because then that can do all sorts of whacked out shit to your piercing site. So yeah, don't do that. Oh my god, my nose won't stop dripping. Is it because there's so much crap in there that it has no place to go? So first things first, my Daith piercing is over here in my left ear. It's right there. Say hello. Right there. And I had it done June 2017. I'm fairly certain it was June 2017. So I haven't even had it a whole year yet. I have had it 6 months at this point, but it's not even a year old. So having issues is going to happen. Like this piercing will be 2 years old in March and it still gives me issues. I think this one out of all my piercings gives me the most issues. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But it seems like from other people's comments on other videos of mine that they all seem to have troubles with their helix as well, so I digress. But anyway, my Daith piercing, oh, for the record, I do have pictures that I will be inserting. Some of them are a little nastier than others, so if that kind of thing squeezes you out, just giving you a warning that they will pop up. I'm not gonna put a little slide in there saying like, gross picture in 3, 2, 1. I'm giving you your warning now, so there you go. So the piercing happened June 2017. The piercing itself did not hurt. Like, I worked myself up thinking that it was going to be the most painful thing ever. It was not. It was uncomfortable. I'll put it that way. It was uncomfortable just because it is so far up in your ear. Like, it's got all these little flaps and everything there that it was uncomfortable, but it didn't hurt. So for anyone that's like, I'm terrified that it's going to hurt, it doesn't hurt, you just feel a little uncomfortable just because of its placement, so at least for me. But my pain tolerance is a little bit higher than normal. So got it pierced in June. The infection didn't really start until late August, beginning of September. And then it didn't get really bad until like end September, beginning of October. And then October, it was just all sorts of fucked up shit show. The infection began August, September, and I do have a picture of that moment, like that time frame. And so I should have pulled it up my phone, but my phone's charging. That is not its point of like being the worst, that's just when it started. So it was noticeable, the bump started. At that point, it did seem like it was just the piercing bump, but then you'll notice as the pictures progress that more than a piercing bump. There's like some nasty shit going on in there. So as I mentioned, it began late August, early September, and then got worse as I started to roll into October. That's when I started realizing, shit, this is more than just the dreaded piercing bump. This is like full on ill. This needs to be taken care of. The worst point for it, I said that it was like late October. It's not, it was like middle of October. This is October 10th based on the pictures that I have. So October 10th was when it was at its worst, and I could feel it at that point. Like, not, you know, of course I feel it if I shove my finger in there, but I'm talking about like I could feel it throbbing and just hurting. Because, I mean, you've got that bump, and in that tiny space, it's pushing against all sides. So, understandable that I would be able to feel it. So, this is what I did with it. At this time, I'm gonna say, do not fucking do what I did, okay? Don't do it. Because it was probably the worst thing I could have done, but it helped at the time. So, again, don't fucking do this. We good? We good? Okay, we good. So, I took a thumbtack. Don't anyone come at me. I already know what I did was bad. It helped, but it was bad. I took a thumbtack and I cleaned it and I soaked it in salt solution. And can you guess what I did next? I poked both bumps, both the top and the bottom bump. I poked them. I stabbed them even. And yes, it did drain out what was in those bumps. But can you imagine the possibilities of further infection I could have done? I got very lucky and did not get a further infection. But yeah, that was really dumb. Very dumb, but I was desperate. So that's why I'm putting this disclaimer. Don't fucking do that. So no one come at me and be like, oh my god, I can't believe you did that. Yeah, neither can I. So just saying, neither can I. But I was desperate, so that's what I did. So yes, I poked it with a thumbtack, and then I drained out all of the nastiness in there, and it was nasty. I didn't get a picture of that just because I was trying not to retch. So then the bump did start going down. After I drained out what I could from that really stupid decision, it did start going down. Great, awesome, that's fantastic. However, despite the fact that the bump did go down, it still stayed infected through the end of October and into November. I wonder why. So then what I did after that, don't worry, I did not poke it again because I realized how stupid that was. So what I did for like, I'd say 2 weeks, I did this. And you have to have a lot of patience when healing an infected piercing. Like you can't just be like, do it a couple times here or there and then hope that fixes it. You need to be patient. And that was my biggest issue, was I was not patient. And so I would do it and be like, oh, it's starting to go down, and then stop it. No, you have to keep going. You have to be consistent with it for a certain amount of time. I did it for 2 weeks and that seemed to help it. Because as of right now, my ear is completely, piercing is healed, no bumps, doesn't hurt, anything like that. So we good on that front. Anywho, what I did for 2 weeks, twice a day minimum that I did this. I would always try and get it 3 times a day, but twice a day minimum. I would take a cotton round like this one. I would create my own salt solution. So not take this, soak it in like H2 Ocean. I would create my own. And I believe it was like 1 cup water and 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. That could be very wrong. I don't quite remember the measurements. It's out there in the web. I feel like that's what I did. And if that sounds strong, it probably was, but it did the trick. I'm fairly certain that's what I did though. It was 1 cup hot water and 1/4 of a tablespoon of salt, something like that. I mean, it was a very small amount of salt, and I know it was a cup of water. I know it was that. So we got the water down. I just don't quite remember the measurements for the salt, but I'm fairly certain it was like 1/4 of a tablespoon. Teaspoon, something like that, I don't know. But yeah, so I would mix that all together, and then I would take a cotton round and dip it into the water, let it soak up. Then I would take my wet cotton round and I would roll it up so it was kind of like this. And then I would quite literally shove it into the top area. Ow, this really hurts for me to do right now. So shove it into the top area where the piercing is, and then shove it into the bottom one. And I would let it sit there for 20 minutes at a time. Yeah, you can start to feel it sting a little bit. I always take stinging as a good sign that it's doing what it needs to. Don't ever anyone try and like dissuade me from that. That's just how I've always felt in my heart. Like if you put peroxide on a cut or something like that, it fizzes and it burns a little bit. I always took that as it's doing its job. So that's what I took this as, was doing its job. So I would put it in there for about 20 minutes, sometimes 30. It was usually 20 minutes, but sometimes I'd leave it in there for 30. Twice a day minimum, sometimes 3 times a day, and it would just sit in there. There was even one time early on where I left it in overnight. I slept with that in my ear. Now granted, it would fall out in the night and then I'd like find the wad. Like if I hadn't gotten it in there like I needed to, I would find it on the floor. But then when I would pull it out after sitting in there for a certain amount of time, you could see pus and stuff on it. And again, that's really gross. But I always felt like if you're seeing that, that means that's a good sign. You're getting it out. That's how I looked at it. So yeah, that is how I healed my dog. This is what it looks like today. It is perfectly fine, perfectly healed. No bumps whatsoever. I do plan on going to see my piercer and seeing if she will change it out to maybe a titanium piece of jewelry. Now that there are no bumps and everything, I do want to get this, what is it, surgical steel? Yeah, that's usually what they pierce you with. I want to get that out. This is the original piece of jewelry that they used when they pierced me. I want to get that out, and I want titanium in there now, because titanium is good stuff. You like titanium for piercing. But yes, for anyone who has been trying to figure out how to, if they've got an infected piercing, that's what I did. Again, I am going to reiterate, don't take a fucking thumbtack and shove it in a piercing bump. Just don't. I regretted it like immediately after I did it. Actually, probably while I was doing it. But at the time, I was desperate and I needed relief. So I did that stupid shit. Lesson learned. It helped. At least now it's fine, right? Right? The end result was good. But yeah, so that is just how I healed my Daith infected piercing. Let me know if you've got any other strategies in case I do get a new piercing and it gets infected. I might need something else other than shoving a thumbtack into it. Yeah, but that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big old thumbs up and go on down there, hit that subscribe button, whatever side it's on. I'm fairly certain it's over here. here, but I could be lying. And until next time, bye guys.